The Swiss Family Robinson, Chapter 19, Another Exploring Expedition. Early next morning, Fritz and I started to bring home the sledge. On arriving at the wood of evergreen oaks, we found our sow busily regaling herself on acorns. She was none the worse for her encounter of the previous day, and not in the least shy or wild. While passing through the wood, we observed a variety of beautiful birds, several of which especially excited my curiosity. Fritz earnestly requested permission to fire at them, and although I most strongly objected to all needless destruction of life in mere thoughtlessness or for sport, I at last gave consent in order that we might ascertain their species and see if any of them would be of useful for food. A single shot brought down 3 of them, 2 parrots and a great Virginian jay. Placing our prizes on the back of our donkey, we continued our journey. At last we arrived at the guava trees, and after refreshing ourselves with some of their fruit, we proceeded to the spot where we had left the sledge. As the day was yet early, I determined to carry out a plan I had long had in my mind of making a further exploration. Taking the donkey with us to carry provisions, we hastened towards the chain of rocks, Turk leading the way. My intention was to discover, if possible, whether we were on the inner side of an extensive promontory or on an island. I may here mention that we afterwards found we were living on a large island, apparently not far from the mouth of some mighty river. We first passed a small brook, then large tracts of land covered with manioc and potatoes, and we finally reached a grove of bushes from the branches of which hung curious clusters of white berries exactly like wax. We picked several and found that the warmth of our hands made them stick to our fingers. I pronounced them to be a curious fruit of the candleberry myrtle, or wax tree. "Are they of any use to us?" asked Fritz. "They're of no use as food, but we shall be able to make candles from them for our winter evenings." This prospect greatly pleased Fritz, and he readily assisted me in filling a bag with berries for the donkey to carry home. As we continued our journey, our conversation turned on the sociability of birds and the skill developed by them in building their nests. Fritz asked if there were other creatures with similar powers and habits, and whether the architectural skill they displayed was a result of instinct or of reason. A difficult question to answer. "Beavers," I replied, "build quite a village of the banks of rivers, in which large numbers live together in communities. By their united efforts, they construct dams across streams of great size. Bees, wasps, and ants also have this social instinct strongly developed." Thus conversing, we reached a wood containing some trees quite unknown to us. They were approximately some 40 to 60 feet high, and from the bark, which was cracked and scaled in some places like that of a pine, issued small balls of thick gum. It was with difficulty Fritz gathered some of them. We tried to soften it with his hands, and he continued our walk, but found that heat only gave it the power of extension, and that on being released it returned again to its original form. "Look, Papa," he exclaimed, pointing to a cluster of tall trees. "I believe these to be caoutchouc trees, and that is where they get India rubber." "That would be indeed valuable discovery," I replied. "Why, what use can it be made of India rubber except to remove pencil marks or erasers?" "The sap of the caoutchouc tree," I answered, "will be of great juice, which flows from the trees in considerable quantity when they are properly tapped. It is formed by the natives of Brazil, Guiana, and Cayenne into a bottle rubber of commerce." By this time we had reached the coconut wood, and it occurred to me to look for some of those most valuable trees called the sago palm. I noticed after a time a large tree broken down by the wind. The center of the trunk was quite full of white dust, of a flowery nature, exactly resembling European sago. A grove of sugar canes lay in our homeward way, and not to return empty-handed, we added a large bundle of them to our patient donkey's load.